a lot of Black folks are participating in blessing looms. And okay, I see a lot of no's. That's good. Thank God. So let me just kind of break it down for you so you'll kind of know what it is when you see it. Let me ask you this. Here's another question. Has anybody been asked to participate in multi-level marketing at some point? Has anybody, been invited to, join a group, run by one of your friends where they were coming to your house, telling you to give them some money so you could be a part of a thing where if you recruit more people, you make more money that way, stuff like that? Give me a yes or no. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. I'm not really going to talk negative about multi-level marketing because there are a lot of you in here that may actually participate. And so here's the deal. There are a ton of people that participate in these things. And I spent a lot of time thinking about it because what happened was I had a conversation with a friend and I basically did some work to try to help her distinguish between a blessing loom, a multi-level marketing scenario, and a sousous. A sousous is another form of group economics that's out there. And I'm not in any way disparaging what anybody believes on any of these things. I'm just going to give you a perspective that you might want to consider so you can understand what's going on. The reason I picked those three things is because a lot of times you'll hear the same sort of language used to describe them all, right? The language typically circulates around, some sort of economic freedom, empowerment, love, community, like the blessing loom that I saw. It was shaped like a flower, and it's like if you're on the outside of the flower, you get so much money. If you're on the middle of the flower, you get something else, and if you're at the top, if in the middle of the flower, you get the most. And I thought that it would be a good way for me to serve you and to help you out is to give you a way to kind of process what you're seeing, right? Without necessarily us having to be judgmental about it at all, right? So here's the deal. So let me describe what a sousous is and how it works. A sousous basically is something that's used in a lot of places throughout the world, particularly in the Caribbean, and it's basically a savings club. A sousous basically creates a mechanism through which a group of people come together, and each week or every month they put a certain amount of money into the pot, into the sousous. And when you put your money into the sousous, you wait your turn, and every week somebody gets either all or a big chunk of the money, right? It can be structured in different ways. It can be something where, there are 10 of us all putting in $100 every week. Every 10 weeks, I'm going to get $1,000, right? When your 10 weeks comes up, you get $1,000, etc. But there are variations. You could do it in a different way. You could do it where you only get the money if you actually need it, right? Like if I don't need it, I could say, I'll pass this week. Somebody else who needs it may get the money. Sousous are cool, right? In the sense, the good thing about a sousous is that it's forced savings in a way. It's encouraging you to save. Because think about it. I mean, if I want to have $1,000 in 10 weeks and I put in $100 a week, I could do that on my own. I could do that in my savings account. I could just put $100 a week in my account, and in 10 weeks I'll have $1,000, right? But why is it, maybe more effective to do it as a group? Well, because when you have a group, you have accountability. When you have a group, you have the pressure, peer pressure, right? And peer pressure can be good. Peer pressure can actually push you to do things you might not want to do. Like when I wanted to lose weight, I tried for years to lose weight by myself. I couldn't do it. Alicia, we started dating maybe about 3.5, 4 years ago. She was a runner. She made me run. She encouraged me to run and keep my promises to myself. And I did. Next thing you know, I lost a bunch of weight and I'm running a marathon, right? That was all accountability. That was all psychological, because I could have easily done that by myself. I could have easily, theoretically, how about that? Not easily, but theoretically, I could have just got up every day and ran like I was supposed to. But there's a big difference, as most of us know, there's a big difference between what you know you're supposed to do and what you actually do, right? I don't know if anybody else goes through that, where you set all these goals and then you only do like 2 or 3 things because you get sleepy. So that's the benefit of a sousous is it encourages savings. You have a community structure where you're coming together. You're not just gathering money, you're gathering resources, right? You're gathering ideas. Everyone's sort of protecting each other, almost like an insurance policy, right? You're putting all this money in a pot so that if maybe when I have an emergency, you're good, so you can help me, right? Or when you have an emergency, I'm okay, so I can help you. That's far better than doing it by yourself. That's why Black people in America should learn from other people, other Black people and brown people around the globe, because they didn't go through as many of the horrors as we've gone through in America in terms of the horrors of slavery. And so they're not into this sort of rugged individualism that we get caught up in. I have a friend from Africa who's extremely wealthy. I went to her house. It was honestly just like, not to be stereotypical, but it was kind of like an episode. It was like the movie Coming to America. Like literally her father is like King Joffrey Joffer, and they're driving Benzes and Range Rovers and Bentleys and have maids and servants and gardeners and everything else. And one thing that she said to me is, she said, we never could have had this wealth without family. She said, I do not understand how African Americans on any level think they can build wealth without building family and community. When they can't even stay married more than 2 weeks, when they're cussing out their own relatives and stealing from people that are in their own family. A lot of y'all probably got trifling relatives who have borrowed money from you and didn't pay it back, didn't support your business, tried to discourage you every step of the way. So in case you're wondering, there's a direct link between the inability to keep family and community together and weakness. When you're divided, you're weak. You're economically devastated because you're trying to do everything by yourself. It's really hard to do it by yourself. I know maybe people tell you like, oh, you don't need family. You can do it all by yourself. I can do it all by myself. Like we take pride in that kind of thing. That's not really how things are supposed to be. That's not how wealth is actually built. Now, with that said, here's the next step. So we talked about sousous. Sousous are community. Everybody puts money in a pot. Everybody puts the same amount in. You get out what you put in. That's what makes sousous fine and legal and everything's good. Now, let's step over to blessing looms. Blessing looms are a vehicle that is created with similar in a way to a sousous, not quite though, not quite. It has some similarities, but a lot of differences. The big thing about a blessing loom is that you're asked basically to do a couple of things when you join a loom. You come in on the outside and you put money in the loom. That money goes to the person that's in the middle. Like they design it different ways. Sometimes they design it as an airplane where there's a captain and then the co-pilots and then the passengers, or they'll design it as a flower where there's like there's someone in the middle of the flower, on the petal of the flower, and then on the outside of the flower. Well, the people on the outside, the new people, put money in that goes, and all that money, that pile of money goes into the person in the middle, right? So the person in the middle gets a big chunk of money because they're getting all this money from the people on the outside. Well, the people on the outside are the new people to the whole system, right? And so what happens is you start at level 1, you pay your money, all that money goes to the middle, then you go to level 2, maybe you pay, maybe you don't, a lot of times you don't, and then you go to level 3, and then you go to level 4, where you're the one person in the middle, and you're supposed to get this big payment from all the people on the outside. Now, what's supposed to also happen is during that whole process, when you're going from level 1 to level 2, level 3, level 4, you have to recruit other people behind you, right? That's the key. That's the kicker. That's the big part of it. You must do 2 things. You must pay your dues and you must recruit new people. If you do not pay your dues and you do not recruit new people, then you are not supporting that whole system, right? Now, here's what's interesting about that system. That system, the blessing loom, the one that you probably maybe have or at some point will get in your email, is technically defined in most countries and most states as a pyramid scheme. A pyramid scheme is illegal in most states. I know it's illegal in New York and Pennsylvania, and I think it's illegal in Illinois. It's probably illegal in almost every single state in the United States. Pyramid schemes have caused riots in countries around the world. Why is it a problem? Well, the reason the pyramid scheme is seen as a problem is because you're basically making money from what you might call the P.T. Barnum style. P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus used to talk about how there's a sucker born every minute. So some would argue that you're pulling in new suckers that are going to support the people that are in the middle. So it becomes illegal because you're not making money by selling a product, and you're not making money by making an investment. You are making money by bringing in new suckers, new people who are going to put money in that's all going to go to the middle. That's why a lot of times when you see pyramid schemes, and a lot of multi-level marketing is a pyramid scheme, and I'm gonna give you that thin line, that thin distinction between the two that allows them to kind of skirt, any sort of legal issues. But that's why a lot of times with the multi-level marketing scenarios, you'll have, these big conventions, everybody's pumped up, riled up, and all emotional. And because there are people on stage who will say, I made so much money, I obtained my financial freedom, me and my wife were able to buy a mansion and blah, 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 all because we joined this network, right? And everybody's like, I'm going to get the next opportunity. It's going to be me one day, right? Well, most of those people are not going to get up on this stage. Most of those people are not going to make all that money. And the thing about the pyramid scheme is that at some point, it's going to have to crack. It cracks at some point because you get to the point where you can no longer bring in new members, right? There's no more new suckers. You've already run through your whole list of friends. There's no more new people you can bring into the system to be underneath you who are going to feed into the system. So at some point, somebody fails on one of those two key obligations, which is to pay the money somebody does not pay, or somebody does not recruit their two members. And then at that point, the whole thing falls apart. And so you put in your money, but you never got a chance to be the guy in the middle. So maybe you're mad because you put money in and didn't get money out. So in a way, it's kind of like a financial game of musical chairs. Like musical chairs where there's like 9 chairs and 10 kids, except in this case, maybe it's like 4 chairs and 10 kids, but it's the same idea, right? Everybody thinks they're going to get a chair, but clearly somebody can't get a chair because there's not enough chairs for everybody at the end of the day. Now, how does a pyramid scheme differ from a Ponzi scheme? Like a Bernie Madoff, if you recall, Bernie Madoff went to jail for a long time for a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is different from a pyramid scheme, mainly because Ponzi schemes are become illegal because they operate in the same way as a pyramid. You need the new suckers coming in. You suck in the new people, right? But the difference is that Ponzi schemes tend to be in the area of investing, meaning that in a Ponzi scheme, someone says, oh, we're going to go buy some oil wells in Russia. Everybody invest in this company. We're going to go buy these oil wells in Russia and make this massive return, right? So you're all investing. And so I get a self-ruler in here. I see your name in here. And then I also go to Elijah Cox and Burnett. And I say, hey, everybody invest your money because I'm going to go buy these oil wells in Russia. We're all going to make a killing, right? So Elijah comes and gives me his money, and then Burnett does, and I take this money. And here's what I do though, right? I let's say I don't invest in anything, right? I'm just sitting on that cash. So, but I go back to Elijah and I send Elijah a check for $10,000, and I say, Elijah, oh my God, look at the return you got on your investment. You put in 20 grand and you made 10,000 in the first month, right? Well, Elijah gets pumped. Elijah really thinks he made this money from oil wells in Russia, when really I just took some of Burnett's money and gave him money that I got from another investor, right? So then Elijah goes and he's telling all his buddies, he's telling his homeboys, he's telling his wife, his grandma, and he's like, oh my God, look at how much money I made. This has been awesome, right? So he's bringing in new suckers. So as the new suckers come in and they bring more money in, then I can keep writing checks to everybody that's in there. And I'm basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm just juggling balls, juggling investors. And because the balls are moving so fast, nobody really knows exactly what's going on. Nobody really knows that there are no oil wells. There is no investment being made. This is not money being made from, from something that I'm doing from a business standpoint. This is money being made because I'm finding new suckers who are funding who could be people who could become the old suckers. So in a pyramid scheme and a Ponzi scheme, everybody doesn't lose money. Some people make money on Ponzi schemes. Some people make money on pyramid schemes, but at the end of the day, at some point, it all comes crashing down. So for example, there was a black guy, what was his name? Ephraim Taylor. I'm going to show you his picture here. If you're watching right there, you guys can't see it, but I would say my heart goes out to him, but you take accountability for what you do. And the reason it does is because he wasn't that old. He was a young guy. He was known as kind of a big deal in the whole financial space. He was getting a lot of press, and everybody was talking about him as sort of this young financial genius. And so let me see if I can show you his picture. He was going around to churches, and he was leaning on, according to the allegations, he was leaning on Christian faith as a way to gain trust with people that he wanted to get to invest in his company. So so here he is right here, right? He was on the show called The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch, which is on CNBC. And I knew about him because I was on The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch. And I remember hearing about this guy who was on the show right before me, right? Who was a financial guy. And so anyway, Ephraim basically had a situation where he was doing this thing that the feds have decided was a Ponzi scheme. And so people invested all this money. He would go to the church and give a great speech. Everybody would get pumped up and riled up, like, hallelujah, praise the Lord. And they would give him like a ton of money. They were investing in a way that unfortunately it might be symptomatic of those who are not, who didn't take a class from me, because I tell you guys about, things like diversification and being really cautious about how to invest in what you invest in, understanding what you invest in and stuff like that. And so they all invested with him. He got all this money, and lo and behold, the market crashes. And when the market crashes, that's when they find out the emperor had no clothes. That's when they found out that he wasn't actually investing in any of the things that he claimed to be investing in. He was taking the money and he was paying old investors with the money from new investors, which technically made that a Ponzi scheme. And as last time I checked, I think Ephraim, poor guy, got maybe 15, 20 years in prison. And again, I say poor guy only because I don't know if, with him being a young guy, if he understood the implications of what he was doing and how serious the SEC is, how heavy they can come down on you for financial crime. So you've got the we're talking about the pyramid schemes, right? / blessing looms. Those looms that you get in your email, in my opinion, are not good investments for you. I don't suggest participating in any of them. I know that they're going to sound really compelling because the people that recruit for those things, they know the language. They know the language of economic empowerment. I've had people try to recruit me for those things, and I wasn't interested in any of it. The Ponzi schemes only differ from the pyramid schemes in that the pyramid schemes become illegal because there's no product or service being offered. So what they're doing is they're recruiting you, and a lot of multi-level marketing companies get in trouble for this. They're recruiting you to get you to recruit other people. They're recruiting you to get you to bring you in as a recruiter. They're not recruiting you to actually sell a product. They might claim to be selling a product, and that's what's interesting, right? There are people that will get past the whole pyramid scheme designation by basically saying, no, we're not trying to recruit people to become recruiters. We're recruiting people to sell this product. But when you look at where people are making their money, right, that becomes a big indicator. That's where the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, that's where they look at, make their distinctions. Where are you making the most money? Are you really making the most money from actually selling the product, or are you making the most money from recruiting new people, new suckers into the system, into the scheme, right? So ultimately, what I would say is, at the end of the day, I think you should know the difference. Sousous are cool with me. I think the limitation on a sousous, where everybody puts in the same amount every week and everybody gets out exactly what they put in. The limitation on a sousous is that I think that money should be invested so it can grow. Put it into stocks or real estate or into small businesses so that you can really have these opportunities to make your money flip. And that's what we're looking to help you guys do when we pull together the investment clubs. We had a long meeting today about how we want to structure the clubs, and we're going to have you structure your own investment clubs. There's already been one that we created out of the Black Business School that's in London. It's a BLAAC, the Black London Asset Acquisition Council. And they're off to the races. They're chatting back and forth on WhatsApp. Some of you may be members of that. That was our experiment. That worked. People were excited about it. So we're going to start doing that domestically and around the world in terms of supporting you in the creation of your clubs. And the number one objective is not just to create clubs, but to create an economy, a club of clubs, so that you can actually use the concepts that we talk about in the Black Business School of Cooperative Economics to work together to pretty much give yourselves everything that you need. And I'll explain that more later, but that's really the vision. Now moving on with pyramid schemes, don't touch them. I wouldn't even mess with multi-level marketing unless that's just something you want to do. If you're already in it, I apologize if I offended you. I offend a lot of my friends who are in MLMs, but I just want you to know, please don't recruit me for any of that. I don't want to be a part of any of that stuff. because basically they're a little bit too close to pyramid schemes for my comfort. And then of course you got the Ponzi schemes, which is the Bernie Madoff stuff. And so so just beware, be cautious. Okay, guys, I hope that this helped you guys. This was on my mind, so I thought the best thing I could do for you is to explain that and to break it down for you so that you guys can kind of just know what you're seeing when you see it. So let's see. Angela Jordan says Africans have been doing it for years. Women supporting women. Yeah, the tax laws say you can gift up to $12,000 per person, and sousous, blessing loom, the most you'd receive. Yeah. MLMs are, I mean, you said MLMs are brilliant. Yeah, they're brilliant for the people that they benefit. Absolutely. But I don't know if they're ethical, right? Because investment groups, there's a belief that investment groups should be something where you come together and actually invest in something or you sell something. The idea that they're built around having to recruit new members is a problem because it's definitely going to crack at some point. At some point, it's going to fall apart, right? But then again, maybe there's some people who can do okay with musical chairs. I do know that one of the challenges too is that when you're in the MLMs, your friends are going to get mad at you. Your friends are annoyed, if you're trying to recruit them for the MLMs, And so in a way, it's like maybe the hustlers in the middle do make a lot of money off the people that they bring in. And I don't really know if that's necessarily something that I would feel good about. But then again, it's up to you. I'm not judging you at all. I'm not going to judge you at all. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. So Angela says you really don't have a good perspective. Well, maybe it's a preference. It's not even, don't even consider it a perspective. It's just a preference. If that's what you do and that's what you like, then that's fine. But I will say that group you mentioned, women supporting women, is listed as a scam. It's listed as a Ponzi, as a pyramid scheme. That's actually one of the global examples actually that's really out there. But it doesn't mean everybody doesn't make money. It's like if one person robs another person, everybody doesn't lose in that transaction. The person that actually did the robbing did okay, but the person who got robbed is a little bit disgruntled. The other thing too that you want to be cautious about is if you join a pyramid or something that could be defined as a pyramid scheme. If all it takes is a few people to be disgruntled and mad to go and talk to the feds and talk to the cops and rat on everybody that's in the group, and next thing you know, you're on your way to prison. So just be cautious about that too. Okay, so let's see here. What's the difference between the FDIC and the SIPC? SIPC? That's a good question. Let me see. SIPC. Securities Investor Protection Corporation. Okay. You know what? I'm not real familiar with the SIPC. I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it. The Securities Investor Protection Corporation is a federally mandated nonprofit member-funded United States corporation created under the Securities Investor Protection Act of 1970 that mandates membership of most U.S. registered broker-dealers. So it sounds like an organization that manages the people that actually run and manage markets. The purpose of the SIPC is to expedite the recovery and return of missing customer cash and assets during liquidation of a failed investment firm. Okay, so basically what they're talking about is that when you have markets and you have trading, you have to have trust. Anytime you have a market, you have to have trust because you're bringing together buyers and sellers. You're bringing together people that are going to engage with one another. Or in other words, almost like a version of making love, except economically, right? And when you're bringing together people that are going to date each other, maybe sleep with each other, you have to have safety, right? Like I have to know that if I go in there, I'm not going to get, assaulted or violated, right? So basically, these organizations, it sounds like the SIPC is part of that, are designed to make the markets feel safe. And if the markets feel safe, then valuations go up because you have more market participants and you have people valuing assets very differently based on how safe they feel. So a lot of work in the United States is put into making sure that we have, transparent markets, well-functioning markets, plenty of information that's available to everybody. Like they really go out of their way to try to be as fair as possible. They do a pretty good job at that. So the SIPC sounds like one of those organizations that's in place to kind of protect that. So if a firm fails, if the company that's doing the transaction, because think about this, when you guys have bought stocks, you never know the person you're buying and selling the stocks to and from, right? You never meet that person. It's not like you meet in a bar and have a conversation. You're just selling the stock and you're like, I don't know who they're selling it to. Well, you got these intermediaries that are reaching out or that are connecting with the buyers that the buyers go to. You're the seller, you sell your shares, somebody else buys them, and there's an intermediary in the middle to make sure it goes okay. Well, sometimes those intermediaries fail, and it sounds like the SIPC is there to make sure that everything's still whole. You're always made whole, even if you fail. The government loves to provide guarantees in the market to help investors feel safe. Those guarantees are critically important. That a lot of that started after the stock market crash in 1929, because a lot of people were scared to participate in the stock market because the market crashed. So thank you for that question, Elijah. Sorry, I didn't know what the SIPC was. I just didn't know. All right, so let's see. Elijah, instead of putting money in a custodial account for my children, should I just create different brokerage accounts under my name? Yeah. Or just create one and just in your mind designate what you're going to give your kids. I mean, or go talk to get you an estate plan or a trust or something in place and put assets in the trust. You don't have to put the account in your kids' names. I don't put accounts in my kids' names because I don't want some smart 18-year-old acting like they can tell me what to do or they can make their own rules because they have $200,000 that I worked hard for, that they can go do whatever they want with. No. You're going to get the resources when I decide to give them to you. Because remember, 70% of all wealthy families lose all their wealth in one generation. And a lot of times it's because your kids don't have the same values you have. So be very careful about that. Let's see. Burnett, where can I get Powernomics? Go to powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. Also, you can get it at drboycebooks.com. We have some copies to sell, but I'd rather have you buy it from Dr. Anderson rather than me. But if you go to Dr. Anderson's site and they're out of copies or Amazon's out of copies, go to drboycebooks.com. That's there. In fact, actually, you can use a discount code. If you go to drboycebooks.com, we've got a lot of stuff. We got our financial workbooks for children, things like that. You can use this code. Write this down. It's Education 2020. Education 2020. That's one word, not two. One word, not two. Education 2020 will take 30% off any order. So in fact, you can use that code forever if you want to. Education 2020. Go to drboycebooks.com. You can find Powernomics. You can also find the workbooks. If you want to go directly to the workbooks, you can go to financialworkbooks.com. We have these really great workbooks for children that I think you're really going to love. In fact, I know you're going to love it because everybody does. And they're one of the great innovations that came out of the Black Business School that we're really proud of. One of the things the Black Business School does that makes us special is as an organization is we focus very hard on educating the entire family. We don't just focus on the adults. We focus on the children because the secret sauce for us as a community is through the kids. So here are some of the workbooks. We have workbooks for every grade band, first through third grade, books on money, stocks, and investing. And also they come with flashcards, so you can actually just get a whole package if you want to. So we got first through third grade, fourth and fifth grade, middle school, and high school. So feel free to do that. And the price is already cut from $150 to $129 for the whole package. But also if you use that code Education 2020, one word, you can actually get 30% off. So feel free to do that. Lydia, by the way, if you have a question, put it in the Q&A section. That way I'll see it. But I do see your question, Lydia, in the chat. Lydia says, what advice would you give someone in their early 20s working to become financially free as soon as possible? I would tell you, here's what you need to do right now, Lydia, in my opinion. Go take the best class you can find on how to be an excellent entrepreneur. Like that's literally, if I could go back in time, if I had a DeLorean, like Back to the Future and could go back to when I was 18 years old, I would spend all my time obsessing over how to be the best entrepreneur, how people make money. That's it. Because why is that? Well, because there's money all around you. There's opportunities all around you. You just have to gain the ability to see it. You have to pick up that third eye, so to speak, that third economic eye that allows you to just see those opportunities. I have seen people take $5,000 and because they see an opportunity or they see something, they see people who need a product and then a way to go get the product to provide to those people. And I've seen people take $5,000 and turn that into a business that makes $100,000 a year. I've seen that. It happens. I've seen it happen all the time. Why is that? Well, because an entrepreneur is like, an animal that knows how to hunt in the woods, or somebody who knows how to take any raw materials and make that into food, right? An entrepreneur can look and they can say, oh, wait, these people need baby food, right? And they're willing to pay $5 a jar for baby food. I know where I can go get baby food for $1 a jar. So I'm going to go spend money getting baby food and I'm going to bring it to the people that want to buy it. And then boom, I'm making money. Right. And it may not be baby food. It may be, water bottles. It may be something else, right? All business really is, all money, making money really is it comes down to buy low, sell high. You don't have to make the product. That one lady, Super Scent has anybody ever seen Super Scent on Instagram? Super Scent is that lady in New Orleans that made $1 million in 90 minutes selling makeup. Let me show you her page. It's real interesting. It's spelled like Super Scent, SUPA. She's got a lot of followers on Instagram. I think because her, because that thing, she was on Essence or something. But here's Super Scent's page, right? So now she's got a ton of followers, like 2 million followers. That's gold right there. So this is her page. It is what it is. All right. So anyway, Super Scent became famous because she made $1 million in 90 minutes. Well, how did she do that? Well, she sold makeup that she didn't even make. It's not even hers. She got it, and she did what they call white labeling. She went and ordered it probably from China somewhere, and she spruced it up. She made it nice. She created this cool brand based on crayons or something. So she put this crayon stuff on the makeup, and it looked cool, and people were willing to pay $30, $20, or $40 or whatever. And so you get people that are willing to pay $30, $40 for a product, multiply that by 1,000. Next thing you know, you got $30,000, $40,000, right? I don't know if she went to college. I don't know if she went to business school, but she certainly knows how to buy low, sell high, right? That's that. So if you want to teach your kids a skill that will serve them for life, teach them, get them in a place where they can learn those basics. You don't have to go to business school to know how to run a business. When I was in China, I saw thousands of entrepreneurs, because China doesn't have like good social programs or a good job market like we have here. And I saw thousands of entrepreneurs, and I bet you less than 1% of them went to college, and even less of them went to business school. You ain't got to go to business school to know how to run a business. Don't let anybody put that in your head. Amphus Piggy says, should I use $10,000 in a credit card with 0 interest rate for 12 months for investments? It's not a bad idea. It's not bad. I mean, sure. Why not? 0% interest. I mean, you can't get better than that. Elijah, I need to transfer some of my capital into other brokerage accounts. Is there a sweet spot when I should sell and drag to my other accounts? Nah, I don't think there's a sweet spot. I think that you just, make a decision when you want to make the move and just do it. That's what I do. I don't think there's no point where you're supposed to sell a stock. Right? Why would you sell? Why do you sell? Like, you would probably, I guess you'd sell because it's gone up and it's going to go down, but you never know if it's going to go down. That might be the beginning of something great, but that's what we tend to do. We tend to think that what goes up has to come down. So if we buy Amazon at $20 a share, the people did this, right? They bought it maybe when it was $20 a share, and it went up to $250 a share. So there are a lot of people who said, woof, $250 a share, that's a big move. That's 2,000% or something. I don't know. Right. So they then, left the stock because they thought it was overvalued because it had gone up so much. But Amazon is now $2,400 a share. Right. So I don't really think you should go into an investing thinking that there's a point where you're supposed to sell. Sell and do what? That's the number one question. Like that Lil Jon song, Turn Down for What, right? Well, sell your stock for what? Like, that's what I would ask you. Sell your stock for what? Like, and it doesn't mean that there is no what, but you should know what the what is. So if I sell stock, why would I sell my stock? Well, I sell my stock because I want to rebalance my portfolio. Maybe I feel like I need to have more investments in tech. So, and I'm over invested, I'm over allocated in, I don't know, airlines, and I want to get out of airlines and go into tech. I might sell some airline stock to buy some tech stock. Or maybe I have too many stocks and I see a great real estate deal. I see, I saw a condo that I said, that was reasonably priced and it was in a good neighborhood. It was a good steal. So I sold some stock to go buy the condo. And then it was a good move. The condo went up in value almost instantly. I think in 3 months, the broker called us back and said, you could sell that condo for $40,000 more than what you paid for it. I couldn't believe it, but it turns out that was a good move. But sometimes you make a good move, sometimes you don't. And also remember, there are some families that own shares in companies for generations. They never sell. They have them there in case they need them, right? If you think about money and investing, what is your biggest goal? A lot of us, the number one goal is to be secure, right? So if you have security, you don't always have to shuffle things around. You're just secure. Then you forget about your money and you go live your life because now you're secure. Now, instead of money motivating everything you do, You can be motivated by something else. You know, you can be motivated by the fact that you want to spend time with your parents before they get old, or you want to spend time with your kids before they get too big, or you want to spend time with yourself so you can find out how much you love painting or travel or whatever, right? Like money, one of the downsides of the capitalist society that we're learning now through the pandemic is that America is so focused on money. For most people, the reason they get out of bed in the morning is because they have to do something to make money, because they know if they don't get out of bed, they can't pay their bills, right? So the biggest dilemma that you might run into, I hope you run into this problem. I actually will openly confess I had this issue, is what do you do when you get to the point where you don't have to get out of bed to make money? What do you do? What do you do when you get to the point when you got enough money to do what you want to do? Do you stay in bed all day? No, you find another reason to get out of bed. I had to go through that. I was, when I was young, I was really ambitious. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be a successful Black man and all so I worked extremely hard and everything else. And then I started winning. The things that happened were the things that are supposed to happen when you're busting your butt every day. And I was winning awards and getting degrees and getting more money, and things were coming together. And then I just said to Alicia, I said, I think I'm having I don't know if this is a midlife crisis. I don't think it's a midlife crisis. I don't know what it is, but I have to find a new sense of purpose, because before, my sense of purpose was accomplishment. I want to achieve something. So I want to be somebody and I want to make some money. So what happens when you become somebody, right? You become Dr. Boyce Watkins, whatever that means, right? That means something to somebody, right? That's why we're here, right? And then you got enough money to do what you want. Well, you got to find something else that motivates you. And that's when I started reflecting, doing reverse engineering on the fact that I said, wait a minute, wow, it's strange that I spent my whole life with making money, kind of being like a big driver in why I got out of bed every day. For a minute, when I wasn't sure, I could not get out of bed. I was like, what's the point? Well, I don't want to work hard anymore, because it's not, what's it going to give me? Right. So ultimately, at the end of the day, money is not supposed to be your number one reason for doing everything. You really want your kids to be in a situation where they can find a higher level purpose that goes beyond basic survival, where they can rise to find out who their higher self actually is, in a process psychologists call self-actualization. Self-actualization is when you rise above the need to simply do things just to take care of basic needs. You're actually doing things for the world and for other people and stuff like that. Okay. I didn't mean to get overly philosophical, but that is something you got to think about. Money has power. It has impact on your choices, and you have to contextualize that properly so that you don't go into it with the wrong mindset, right? You have to find a mindset that works for you. Okay, so let me keep going. Frank Johnson, is Bitcoin investing safe? Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't lose money. All investing is risky, right? So some is more risky than others, but I will say that that Bitcoin is probably higher on the risky spectrum, because the market is so volatile and kind of crazy and all these weird things happen. So Bitcoin is kind of a funny thing, but I own some Bitcoin, because while it might go down, it might also go up. And when it does go up, I want to be there when it does. Is angel investing safe, and is it part of your investments? I don't do any angel investing, but it can be safe. It's all a matter of kind of doing your due diligence and making sure that you know what you're investing in. If you're investing in somebody's business, there's a lot of stuff you have to do to make sure your investment is protected. A lot of people make mistakes where they'll invest in somebody's business and there's not good transparency, or somebody's cooking the books. Possession is very important. So if you're investing in somebody's business, you should require that you have access and logins to all of the stuff that relates to the financials, that there's contracts and everything in place to protect you. Because things can change and you don't want bad things to happen as a result of that. Dina, can you talk a bit about bonds? Sure. Are there bonds with high returns? Bonds give what is called yield, and yield comes from the fact that bond prices go up and down based on market conditions. Are they beneficial? The interest paid on a bond is not typically going to be very high. You've got junk bonds that are higher yield. A lot of people go to bonds to get away from stocks when they don't for whatever reason, don't want to be invested in stocks. I'm not real big on bonds, but I do think, and I agree with you. You said your 12-year-old wants to invest in bonds, and I think they're not aggressive enough for his age. You're absolutely right. So mama knows best. So maybe you invest in one bond or something, just so that your child can get some experience with that, and you can talk them through it. What a bond is and how it works. That's good for his or her education, but I wouldn't think of it as something that's good for a long-term investment. Children need risk. Children need risk. Children need risk. Why do they need risk? Well, the reason they need risk is because risk leads to higher reward. And the thing is that risk is not, it's not really all that real. It's not as real as you think, because risk is just volatility. And what happens is that time washes away a lot of your risk. Time is the magic bullet of investing. Why is that? Well, because if you take any portfolio of stocks, pretty much any random group of stocks, if you go any point in time in American history and grab me 50 stocks, just randomly pick me 50 stocks to invest in, and I wait 10 years, I'm going to make money about 100% of the time. And if I don't make money that 1% of the time, maybe I get 98% of my investment back or something, right? But I'm usually going to make a lot of money. So what does risk really mean? What are you really afraid of? Well, what a lot of people are afraid of is the fact that you got to understand a lot of these fund managers and Wall Street and brokers are investing with short horizons. They're like congressmen. Congressmen don't care about the country because they're only in office maybe 4 years or 8 years a lot of times. So they're thinking about the next 4 years so they can get reelected. They're not thinking about what America is going to look like 40 years from now. Right. Well, the same thing is true with investing. A lot of fund managers are trying to make a return this year. So if you're a fund manager that is trying to make a high return this year so you can keep your job or you can bring in new investors, well, you're going to look at the market a whole lot differently from someone like me. I don't really care if my stocks make money this year because I'm holding a lot of stuff for 5 years, maybe 10. And one thing I know for a fact is that when you hold stuff for a long time, a lot of risk washes away just because of time. Sure, you have the ups and downs and maybe there's a dip, but it recovers. Like, for example, right now, everybody's scared to invest. A lot of fund managers are sitting on the sideline because they feel like the Corona crash is going to disrupt their returns for this year, right? Okay, yeah, but think about this, right? What are we waiting for with the Corona situation? We're waiting for a vaccine because vaccines will make everybody feel safe and the economy can reopen safely and we're back to business as usual. Stock prices go back up. Do you think that there's a chance we won't have a vaccine? How many of you, give me a yes or no. Do you think at some point someone's going to announce a vaccine? Do you think at some point the Corona is going to go under control? Yes, it's going to eventually get under control. There will eventually be a vaccine. Will it be a month from now? I don't know. Will it be a year from now? I don't know, but it's going to happen. So if I have a 5-year investment horizon, I'm almost hoping that the market crashes a little more. I'm hoping that people stay afraid so I can go buy as much stock as I possibly can on a regular basis. And then I just sit back and wait. And I wait for the vaccine to come out. And then the vaccine comes out. And next thing you know, my assets have a lot more value. And I can decide what I want to do at that point. Okay. So just understand that there's a difference between an investor with a short horizon and a long horizon. When you're a long horizon investor, you have a hell of a lot more power and a hell of a lot more predictability in your portfolio. So the slow money is more valuable than the fast money. The long money is much more reliable than the short money. That's what I want to teach you guys. I'm not really here to teach you how to gamble. Eric, what do you think about the M1 app? I've never used it. I've heard of it. I don't have that. That's one app I haven't used, Eric. So I'm sorry about that. I'll take a look. Wayne, will there be a recording of this Q&A available to view later? Yeah, all of you, because you're in the Black Stock Market program or in the masterclass, you all have access to a vast curriculum in something called Ask Dr. Boyce. Ask Dr. Boyce has thousands of questions I've answered for students over the years. This video will be included in that archive. So those of you, anybody who wants to take a look at any of the programs that maybe you're not in, feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com, theblackstockmarketprogram.com. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And I think you're going to really like it. So feel free to check that out. Eldry, how do you play defense after large gains in the market following big drops? Can you share an example of how to minimize losses in the future class to manage our portfolio smarter? Or do you just ride it out over time? That's a great question, Eldry. Yes, options tend to be used. Options and stop loss orders. Options basically allow you to do something like buying a put option. If you buy a put option, but it's a contract on 100 shares. E-Trade, though, has many contracts that can be bought on 10 shares. But an option basically means if you buy a put option, that means that you make money if the stock price goes down, which is like a type of insurance. So you pay money so that in case the stock does plummet, you're only going to lose so much, right? Some people use put options to protect their portfolio, and then there are more advanced option strategies. A lot of you guys in the program have asked about an options class. I'm literally putting that together now. I just want it to be great for you. So that'll be announced probably by the end of the month, but I'm working on that every day. The other approach would be maybe stop loss orders, where you just put something in. You can do this through E-Trade. You can actually just go in and basically tell it, like, look, if my stock is at 50, if it goes to 48, sell it. Or you can do a trailing stop loss order, which says, whatever price it is, if it drops 2 points below that price, then sell it, right? So that means if it goes up from 50 to 55, it's not going to sell. But then if it goes from 55 down to 53, it'll sell. Right. So there are those are a couple ways that people protect their losses. So that, there you go. That answers your question, I hope. Let's see here. Moving on. Silas, what is your opinion on Genesis and blockchain technology? I don't know a lot about Genesis, but I like blockchain. I think blockchain is going to be here for good. I think blockchain is a great way to go. Have you invested in any? Yes, I own a lot of crypto, a ton of crypto. If so, which companies? Oh, I don't remember. Honestly, what I do is I listen to experts, and then I follow what experts are doing. I figure the expert has spent, thousands of hours in that space. They have done all the research, and I go pay them money to give me, I'll join stuff and pay stuff so that I can follow what they're doing. That way you eliminate, having to go do all this yourself. So that's how I pick my crypto. I just talk to people that were in the space. Let's see here. Next question, Andrea. So how do you feel about life insurance companies like having a license to sell it? Well, everybody needs life insurance. If you don't have life insurance in here, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to leave. I need you to get the hell out right now. And I need you to go get some life insurance, because you really need to do that for your family, for your kids. Everybody should have adequate life insurance. That's just, wealth preservation 101. That's, financial intelligence 101. That's I love my family 101. I went to a funeral not too long ago, and there was a life insurance policy, but the person that died had borrowed against the policy, and there was nothing left. And so it became a really desperate situation because family members were then burdened with having to come up with the money to pay for the funeral. And you can't do that to the people you love, man. Seriously, so get you some life insurance, please. Thank you. Dual Victory just shared the URL. The company I use is the blackinsurancенetwork.com. Is it blackinsurancенetwork.com or the blackinsurancенetwork? I think it's THE dual, the blackinsurancенetwork.com. There's a lady there named Yolanda. Tell her I sent you, and they can get you all set up with all the insurance that you need. What's the coupon code for the children's workbooks? The coupon code, write it down. It's Education 2020, Education 2020, one word, not two, Education 2020. And also the URL, if you want to go look at the workbooks, financial workbooks we have for kids, is financialworkbooks.com. That's financialworkbooks.com. There's a package that you can get that has all the workbooks and a set of the financial flashcards and a set of the entrepreneurship flashcards. I guarantee that if your child goes through that material, they will be more advanced economically than the average business school graduate. Because one opportunity for Black people right now, one area where we can really just tear this thing down, is the fact that Americans are just generally bad when it comes to financial literacy. Americans don't even know the basics that we should know. So I think Black people as a community, because we run our community, nobody else runs our community, we run it. We make these decisions. We are the school system. We are the economic system. We are the media. At least that's how I see it, and that's how we operate over here. And in our system, we want everybody to be economically intelligent. We want our children raised to be economic soldiers, where they're just prepared at the highest levels, because don't let anybody tell you different. The economic game is won by people who are prepared with resources and prepared with training. It is up to you to decide if you're going to give your child those things. Are you going to give them resources? Well, if you want to do that, we've got a whole thing in the Black Business School, a whole lecture that you guys have access to as part of the Black Stock Market program called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. I, as a financial scientist with a PhD, have explained how you can, with literally the amount of money you spend on fast food, put your child in a position to compete economically and to really be financially free by the age of 25 or 26. And that's $5 a day of investing, consistently in a diverse portfolio of stocks, but you got to start early so that they're prepared later. But then you also have to make sure that you supplement the investment with training. Like you're giving your child a bazooka, you're giving them a financial nuclear warhead, or this massive weapon, or like giving them a sports car. Well, if you give them a sports car, you got to teach them how to drive, or they're going to drive themselves off a cliff, right? So basically, that's where the training comes in. So the model we put together in the Black Business School is the KID model. That stands for knowledge, investment, discipline. That means you give them the knowledge and the training, you give them the investment, meaning the resources they need, so that when they have the knowledge, they can act on it, right? They're not going to just have this business management skill and not have a business to manage. But then discipline is important too. They have to have the discipline to execute. If you don't have discipline, then nothing matters. So anyway, let's keep going. Let's see here. Nathan, what should I give my kids next after they finish the Millionaires of Tomorrow course? Okay, Nathan, I hope I just answered some of that question. What we think of our Black Business School for Children in three components. We got the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, which is digital. That's at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. For those who don't know, blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com, which has 4 pieces to it. There's stocks, money, investing, and real estate, right? And then there's the 5th piece. Sorry, there's also something on entrepreneurship. If you're not sure, just go to the platform and talk to one of our specialists. They can guide you to everything you need to know. Then beyond the digital, there are the workbooks. We have the financial workbooks, which you can find at financialworkbooks.com. That's financialworkbooks.com. And then there are the flashcards. So you can buy the workbooks and flashcards as a bundle if you want, which will save you some money. And I gave you guys the code, which takes 30% off anything in the store. Or you can buy them separately. If you just want to buy the flashcards, you can go to financialflashcards.com. So we give you simple URLs that you can use. And the discount code for 30% off in the store is Education 2020. Education 2020, one word. Okay, so I hope that helps answer your question, Nathan. And if that's not enough, if there's more you want us to add, let us know. We are putting together a workbook, like an activity book for kids, but it's more so for kids under the age of maybe 10, because it has coloring. They can color things in. They can do crossword puzzles with financial terms in it, stuff like that. I'm really excited about that. I'll let you guys know about that when it's done. Let's see here. Carol, I just joined in, so you probably answered this, but can you give a class on options and how we can? Yes, Carol, we just talked about options and you are 100% correct. I've been getting asked about that for a while, and so I'm going to put that together. That's almost done. Selena, have you heard of Nightscope stock? No, I'm sorry, Selena. I wish I could say yes, but I have not heard of it. Let's see, Anonymous says, what are your thoughts on using the Index Universal Life Insurance for saving to retirement or saving for college for kids? I don't think that's a bad idea. What I like about Index Universal Life, and what I remember about it, is that it's indexed to the stock market in a certain way. So you are getting some of those gains that come with the market. I guess I'd be curious about the fees that are there, because usually when an intermediary is doing something with your money, they're going to take a piece of that, especially if they're doing something that you could possibly do yourself, because you can buy index funds, on your own. Like that's not something that you need an investment company to do. But, maybe it's easier though. Maybe it's something where it's worth paying the fee to make sure it gets done. It's better to have it get done in a bad way than to have it not get done at all, right? For many of us, we never get it done. So I think even if you're paying the insurance company a little bit, or you're not getting the maximum return, saving slowly and investing even badly or in a mediocre way is 100 times better than not investing at all. The biggest thing you want to avoid is this, bad thing, this financial version. It's almost a financial version of the coronavirus, if you ask me, where we have so many people that just don't do anything. And I'm just telling you, if you want a recipe for disaster, sit around and don't do anything, and it'll pile up on you. T, how do I go best about setting up a trust? Speak to a trust attorney or to an accountant. I'm not an expert on trusts. We have some stuff on trusts in the Black Business School from attorney Nicole Compton, but there's not a specific class on that. We are going to have something soon, but there's nothing I can guide you to right now. So talk to an attorney or someone that can help you set it up. Trusts are a great vehicle for protecting your wealth, by the way. Celeste, I want to start a business, but I don't know where to start with creating a website. Can you recommend a good place for a website? Well, I've seen people use things like Wix, but the reviews have been mixed. I think that there are ways also where you can set up a website without having to actually do a whole website. Don't go give somebody $1,000 to do a website for you. You can do things like Lead Pages or something, which might let you create a website or something like a website that's functional and gets the job done without costing you a lot of money. I don't know if any people still do this at all. I don't hear people talk about this, but I remember back in the days. Anybody remember back in the day where people would go spend $5,000-$10,000 to get a really good website done? Don't do that. Do not do that. Whatever you do, don't do that. Andrea, what's your advice on buying bonds? Bonds are very low risk. It might be a good diversification strategy, but it's not something that, I would clamor to. But I mean, it is available. And also you can buy mutual funds where the mutual fund invests in bonds. So if you want bond exposure, you can get it. But if you look at, like, if you go into the app and look at the returns on that investment over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they're usually not going to be very high. So bonds are just kind of, I think they're more for wealth preservation than they are for wealth growth, right? You remember, many of you are in the growth stage. You're trying to grow your money. You're not just trying to preserve your money, right? That's what rich people do. Maybe some of you are rich, but if you're not, then I don't know if bonds are the best strategy. Let's see here. Adrian, should one join the Black Business School if you're part of the Black Stock Market Program? If you're part of the Black Stock Market Program, you're already in the Black Business School. That is part of the Black Business School. The Black Business School has the Black Stock Market Program, and we have a whole sequence, a Black Money sequence, Black Money 101 through 106. 101 is an introduction to the power of money. 102 is the stock market, how to invest in the stock market. 103 is how to start a strong Black business. And number 4 is related to franchises, how to buy a franchise. So feel free to check that out. So we got some good stuff. 105 is real estate. 106 is business systems and processes that you can set up to make sure your business is structured the right way. So go to the Black Business School, theblackbusinessschool.com. We've got specialists. We got specialists that are on the line that can talk to you. They're very nice, and they can help you get started and pick something for yourself or for your child. Let's see. Shalina, do you know anything about the Albert app, and what are your thoughts? No, I do not. I wish I knew. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about the Albert app. I'll try to look it up, though. Andrew Brown, how can I buy property with a low credit score or high student loans? You can do it, but you probably want to get some support on that. Julian Gordon has a great multifamily real estate program in the Black Business School that's very popular. If you go to the Black Business School, theblackbusinessschool.com, and just talk to a specialist or email support@theblackbusinessschool.com, they can guide you to that program and maybe tell them I said offer you a discount. But basically, there are ways to do it, but you want to get trained on that. And I think with real estate, it's just one of those things where owning property is one of the first keys to wealth, and you want to do everything you can to own property. But it's also cultural. There are some cultures where they feel like they must own property. They feel like they're not there, that they can't rest until they own property. Whereas I think that there are some cultures where renting for the rest of your life is okay. That's not okay. Let's see. Acorns has the regular account and then the later account, which is like an IRA. I have both. How much should I be putting in each account? IRAs are tax deferred, so I would max that out. I would put as much as the government will allow, because you're talking about investing tax-free money or tax deferred money. Let's see, Shalina, what's a good percentage of income to invest? It really depends on how aggressive you want to be. So some people might do 10%. Some people may pick. I like to index my investing with like fast food purchases. Like I might say whenever I go eat fast food, I'm going to invest the same amount of money that I spent on food. So I go to Applebee's and I spend $33. I'm gonna buy $33 worth of stock. That might be a good benchmark. But as long as you're doing something that's consistent, if somebody just invested the amount of money that we spend on fast food, that person would have plenty of money. But if you give them 10, 20 years, they would actually have no financial problems. They maybe have $100,000 liquid or something like that. Like seriously, if most of you had taken the money you spent on fast food since the year 2000 and match that amount, like you still bought your food, but let's say you matched it. Every time you spent $10 at McDonald's, you put $10 in your stocks. Every time you went out to dinner, you put that same amount in your stocks. If you just did that consistently, even if you were randomly picking stocks and had no stock picking ability whatsoever, you would probably have at least $80,000 to $100,000 in liquid cash in the bank account right now. So the master plan for your children that I want you to implement, that will help you and your family build the powerful legacy that you deserve, is one where you start doing that for your kids now while they're young. Because remember, the number one asset in investing, the most valuable thing you can own, is time. Your children have plenty of time. They're very young. So by starting investment programs for them while they're young, you can put them in an amazing position later on in life. Many of you, if you started off struggling and broke, like I did, it's because your parents did not know. They didn't know how to do the things that we're talking about in this class now. But the things I'm talking about to you are verified through financial science. This is not complicated, for someone, I guess with the background that I have. Remember, we don't read financial books. Like I don't just sit around and read the books. We had to write the books, So a lot of the ideas that we might discuss here are going to be a little bit odd and unorthodox and stuff like that. And that's because I took the theories and twisted them to make sure that they fit with what Black people need the most. Almost like a doctor who takes the medicine and says, we don't need this much of this chemical. Let's take that out and put this in instead, because that fits the patient a little bit better. So for Black people, and this is what the Black Business School is really good about, is we specialize in Black wealth. We study extensively and exhaustively the specific problems that exist within Black communities, within Black culture, within Black families, to structure investing and economic thinking that is specifically targeted to helping you solve the specific problems that exist in your family. And so, so at the end of the day, I think it's very important to understand this, and I'm going to say this, I'll let you guys go, is, you ain't white. You're not white. A lot of the reason that a lot of those strategies that you might have learned in school, if you learned anything, don't work and don't apply to you is because you're not white. White, for example, I'll give you one example. White people have a whole entire economic system with thousands and thousands of businesses in their own community they can go work for when they graduate. So they can come in as specialist role players that just simply do one little task and get hired by a company to do one little task. You don't have that. You need a generation of builders that are going to build the businesses that then give you the luxury of being able to only focus on one little thing, or to just go out and search for a job, or only have one little skill. When you are specialized in a space where you need a diverse set of talents to be successful, you're going to really struggle if that particular role is not made available for you. So if you are a Black college graduate who comes out with $100,000 in student loan debt, and you're looking for a big white company to give you a job doing exactly what you were trained to do, you might get the job, but then you might not get the job. And then if you don't get the job, what are you going to do then? Right? So you're not in the position that white people are in. I know they tell you that we're integrated and this is your society too, but I think you know better than that. That's why you're here. You're more like the Mormons were when Brigham Young packed 250 Mormon families up to get away from persecution, and they went out looking for the Great Salt Lake. They went out west, and a third of them died from disease or being killed by Native Americans, killed by animals. But they got out there and they set up shop. And when they got there, there were no jobs. There was no McDonald's on every corner. There were no banks to go put your money in. There was no place to apply for employment or education. There were no schools. So they had to build all of that, right? And now Utah's a different city. Now Utah, you can go there and you can find a job in a McDonald's and whatever it is that you're looking for. But you are the pioneers to some extent. And so ultimately, what I would encourage you to just understand is that, as a Black family, you have unique opportunities, but you also have unique challenges, which are going to require unique solutions for you to get what you want and to get what you deserve. Okay. So that's what I've spent all my time thinking about. I dream about it. I obsess about it. I sit on the plane and I'm just processing it over and over and over again. And I've literally dedicated all my thinking to this because I feel like this is the most relevant, meaningful thing I can actually do for you. So, anyway, I'm going to go, guys. Alicia wants to go for a run and I'm getting fat, so I need to get my butt up out of here. But tomorrow night, the masterclass meets. So if you want to log in and get the access to the codes for the Zoom meeting, Wednesday night, you can go to drboycemasterclass.com and log in. Everything, all the recordings are available. All the materials that we've gone through up until this point are available in case you joined late. But we're going to meet on Wednesday night. So it's drboycemasterclass.com. If you want to take a look at, books like Powernomics, stuff that we have in the bookstore, feel free to go to drboycebooks.com, drboycebooks.com. Use that code education2020. That's one word, education2020. You can get 30% off. And if you want to take a look at the financial workbooks and flashcards and stuff like that, you can go to financialworkbooks.com. That's financialworkbooks.com. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good night. And I hope that this Q&A benefited you. This has been a lot of fun for me. So I'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.